Hey, what's up? It's Tiffany. Before we get started on this week's episode, please be sure to send us your requests at booshakalakapodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter X, booshakalakapod. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Instagram at booshakalakapodcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boo Shakalaka Podcast. My name is Crazy T, and I'm joined with my co-host Pierre.
Well, physically speaking, Zoe is amazing. I mean, agility, reflexes, nimbleness. There's few human beings that can fuck with Zoe on that front. Having said that, before you get too envious of Zoe's prowess, you're missing the most important part of that story. You didn't fall in the ditch. Zoe did. Zoe even knew there was a ditch there because you told her and she still fell in. So Lee's right. We all have our talents.
13 Reasons Why.
You know this. You know this.
Zoe?
I'm mad at you,
Blackish?
Zoe.
Is it a black person?
You're gonna hate yourself. You're gonna hate yourself.
Is it a black person named Zoe?
No.
Then I'm not gonna hate myself. Go ahead.
It was Death Proof. That was the diner scene.
It was so much dialogue in that movie. You expect me to remember anything except for
that part was hilarious.
Child. Anyway, we are here for our last entry of April Anthologies. Thank goodness.
Yes.
So we are going to be reviewing 1995's cult classic Tales from the Hood. The synopsis is Tales from the Hood is a 1995 American black horror anthology film that presents four short urban-themed horror stories based on problem concepts that affect the African American community in the order of police corruption, domestic abuse, racism, and gang violence, all presented within a frame story of three drug dealers trying to buy some found drugs from an eccentric and story-prone funeral director.
This movie was very triggering.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen it before, and it was like I was like, wait, it was just very, very triggering. Like the themes. I want to understand what they were trying to do, but no, like it was just like
every last one of them except for the one with the dolls was triggering. Like
yes.
The one with the dolls was nonsense.
Dolls was hilarious, yes. But it was just like I was like, wait a minute, I'm not laughing at this. So
it's not like something to play with. Yeah.
No.
So there are four short stories. The first one, so I'll do the wraparound if you want to do the stories. So the wraparound is called Welcome to the Mortuary. So we follow a trio of drug dealers, Stack, Ball, and Bulldog. What we gonna do, Bulldog? They get to Mr. Sims' funeral home looking to purchase the shit. So they do not come out and just say, hey, where are the drugs? They're like, you got the shit? I need the shit. You got the shit? I need the shit. And, over and over and over. And Mr. Sims says that he found the drugs in an alley. And he thought he should just hide them in his mortuary. And he asked he tells him to come in to help him get the drugs, I guess because it was just a wide load. But I don't know how he got him to the office, but he can't get him out the office, Who knows? They should have known it was
he put him in
immediately.
He put him in the
coffins.
In the hearse.
That's what he used to bring him in? Okay. And then he had like a little basket that he used to bring it to the
like
rest.
in Bad Boys too.
Right.
Fat
so he opens up the first coffin and it contains the body of Clarence Smith. And he is a man who was rumored to have heard voices from the dead calling his name. And the first segment is called Rogue Cop Revelation.
I'm so glad you knew the name. So this starts off with some bullshit. Damn it, I don't remember anybody's name.
I have the names, don't worry.
What's the councilman's name?
Martin Morehouse.
Martin Morehouse is stopped by the police. It doesn't appear to like he was. I don't even understand why I understand why he stopped, but I'm like, I didn't understand why they stopped him, but apparently they stopped him for a devious reason. It was because that he's basically trying to end police corruption, which sounds like a good thing, but they're dirty cops. And so they deal drugs. They have deals going on with drug deals, blah, 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 the typical cesspool. And so they stop him and they're harassing him. And so they take him out of his car and they're just like, oh, you want to take down dirty cops? Well, let me beat your ass. And they just...
Well, first he said, you have no reason to stop me. And then one of the cops takes his baton and knocks out his tail light. Like, oh, here's your reason why.
which I never have understood stopping somebody and giving them a ticket because their tail lights out. The tail light is fucking behind me. How the fuck am I supposed to know if my tail lights out? Like,
Right.
who
It
just is
should be,
like,
hey, your tail
hey,
light's out.
yeah. I'm like, why would I get it? I didn't know, but yeah. So,
I agree.
and
So Martin Morehouse's name is like, a play on Martin Luther King and Morehouse
Morehouse
College.
College,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
so,
So the cops' names, if you want to know,
well,
I know. Oh, what? I'll wait till you get to the cops, and then I'll tell you their names.
I was just gonna start. I was gonna say, and there's a rookie cop who's black, in the midst of all these white cops. And he's like, hey, what's going on? Why are we stopping him? And they send him off, basically. They tell him to go run the guy, how cops do in their cars, and they like run his record or whatever.
Yeah, his name is Clarence.
Of course. Yes, Clarence. And so go ahead.
So Clarence is basically running the plates, and we see the other cops roughing up Mr. Morehouse. And he's like, he didn't back down. He's like, I don't think all cops are bad, but I know that you are bad. He's basically like, you guys need to come, you need to stop what you're doing in this neighborhood. You're ruining a perfectly great neighborhood. And then Clarence finally realizes who he is. So he runs out of the car over to the cops. He's like, hey, this is Martin Morehouse. Y'all need to stop this. This is the councilman. And they were like, well, he should have been following the rules. He got rough with us. Morehouse did hit one of the cops, but it was after the cops,
slammed his head through his glass windshield, which that wouldn't have broke, but they slammed his head through the damn window, and then he punched one of them, and I was just like, it's just too real.
As he should. As he should.
Too real. It's too real.
As he should. So basically, they shoo Clarence away and say, we're going to take care of him. You don't have anything to worry about. While they're literally beating the shit out of Martin Morehouse. Like, and then you hear like Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday playing in the background. It's like it just makes you so uncomfortable. It just makes you want to jump through the screen and like beat the cops up yourself. Especially with all the shit going on in the climate now. Kids aren't able to fucking walk in their graduating class because of protests and all that stuff going on. So it's just it doesn't let up. Like, this movie came out almost 30 years ago, but we're still dealing with the same shit in the United States. It's nuts. It's like crazy. Just watch it. I was like,
exactly. And so he's just like, he needs medical attention. He needs medical attention. And so they like throw him in the car, and they like drive off. And he drives off
they tell Clarence that they're gonna get him medical attention, and he actually fucking believes them.
Yeah, and he's going with his partner. He's just like, that was messed up. And he's like, look, they're the bosses. We can't do nothing.
We can't go against code.
Yeah, I don't know why he's even confiding in him. And so in the meantime, the other cops, they take him to the pier. And so he's all still groggy and everything. So they do. And I was like, there was a bit of hope. And it's sad that I'm saying this is hope. I thought they were just going to frame him because so they put drugs in it. They open the trunk, they put drugs in his trunk. And I was like, oh, so they're going to frame him. They're going to at least leave him alive. Like, as if that's better. But I was just like, well, at least he'll have his life. He can go to court and say that they lied or whatever. And so then they drug him. They take out like, they got medical equipment with them, and they drug him. They put the drugs in his car, and then
they shot him up with heroin.
Yeah, I know, but that's drugging him.
But you said medical equipment like it was legal.
Well, I mean, when I said medical equipment, I mean, who has a fucking, I don't know. I just feel like most people
drug addicts.
Oh, well, touche. I'm not a drug addict, so I don't have fucking
You ever been to the bathroom at a gay club?
Go to hell. Stop asking me these questions.
It's a lot of sniffing going on.
I'm not using the bathroom in there. And so I don't take bumps. So yeah, and so they put his car
just poppers.
I don't take those either. And they take, and I know straight girls who do those too, and I don't want to get into it, but they
it's a thing.
Well, they don't use them for that. They use them just to feel like that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Hope you loosen up.
No.
The juice is loose.
It's okay to just take a shot. And so and so they put the car in drive, and they drive him into the pier, killing him. And that's when I get pissed off. So
yeah, so they not only destroyed his good name, they killed him at the same time.
Yeah.
So like they really took him down down to the bottom of the lake.
And so
pissed. Talk about pissed.
A few years go
pissed.
by. Well, I mean, maybe it's not a few years. Maybe it's
It's
months.
just one.
Okay, it's just 1 year. And so, the black cop quit the
Clarence.
force, and
Clarence.
he I hate that name. And he's like, he looks like he's homeless. Like he's all his bed looks dirty. He got newspapers like laying around. I'm like, what
Well,
the fuck? He just
he's a guilt-ridden drunk at this
yeah,
point.
he
Like
just looks destitute.
yeah, he can't forgive himself for what happened to Morehouse, and he just can't deal with it.
And so, baby, he just, he sees the newspaper, disgraced politician, da da da, and it's just, he's just over it. He's over it. He's over it. Over it. And so, he goes and gets sloshed. And so, but of course, as typical drunks, they kick his ass out. So he go walking, and so while he's walking down the alley, he hears a voice, and he's like, "Bring them to me.
Bring them to me.
Bring them to me." And then he sees a vision of Morehouse hanging on the cross, like, yeah, being crucified. And he's like, "Bring them to me, bring them to me, bring them to me." And so he's like, "Okay," like no questions asked, like, okay. And so,
I'm thinking that he used blackmail. He had to have used blackmail to get them there.
Yeah, because I was like, why the fuck would they come? And so, yeah. But yeah, they come to the graveyard, and he's still drinking, like, and so they're all like, "How's it doing, Coon?" And so he's all like, "Hi,
hey boy,
hey boy." They do say boy. They do say boy quite a lot, but there's like basically that energy is there, and so
yeah,
he's
it's
like,
what? We don't know what you're talking about. It's like, cut the shit. We don't know what you're talking about. Cut the shit. I was like, wow, this is very
yeah. And so he basically confronts him. He's like, I know what y'all did. Y'all know what y'all did. Y'all need to pay for it. And so basically, they're like, bitch. First of all, you're dumb as hell, you black motherfucker, because you done called 4 of us here. It's 4 of us. It's 1 of you. What do you think is about to happen here? And then we're in the graveyard, like, correct, sir. And so he go walking, and he walks them to. He's like, I gotta show y'all something. He walks them to Morehouse's grave. And so what do? The lead cop starts pissing on this man's grave.
Richmond is the name of the cop that pees on the grave.
Not Richmond. And so
Richmond. And then he orders one of the other cops that's kind of like a follower, who his name is Crumfield, to do the same thing.
And he's like, so I peed earlier.
Trying. Yeah. That's like me. I can't pee in public like that. Like, if somebody's looking, if somebody's by me, it's not gonna come out. I'm about to force it.
So yeah, he don't join in, but as he's peeing, all of a sudden, and I thought it was gonna turn into the granny. And so Morehouse pops up from his grave. His hand grabs the cop. I thought it was going to grab his penis and break it off, but but he just grabs him and like pulls him into the grave. And so this is turning into a murder scene now.
Crumfield and Hauser were about to kill Clarence. So they had the guns drawn, and then as Morehouse bursts out of the grave, they're like, "Holy shit balls!"
Oh, they can't.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. They couldn't believe what was happening, and then there's like a big ass explosion, and then Morehouse's coffin pops up out of the ground, and Crumfield is in the coffin, and then you see a zombified Morehouse holding Crumfield's still beating heart. Like, I really want to know how long the heart beats after you take it.
Because it's been a year.
Hello.
And so 2 of the tops, they haul it in their car, and they're like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. So they
skedaddle.
They skedaddle, and they driving, and then it turns into thanks for the ride, lady. That's what it felt like. Because
I wrote that
down. Him hanging on the car. I was like, what the fuck is this? And so,
but he's not talking. He's just kind of like grunting the whole time.
Yeah, he's just like, and they, of course, I mean, they try to shoot him, it don't work.
I mean, thanks for the ride so many times. Like, they stole that idea. They stole this idea for this movie. I know they did.
Because I was like, he's just hanging on. It just felt of that. So they die. We don't care about them. And so the other cop, who was kind of like
stop. So he actually, I don't know what happened to the cop that was. I don't know what happened to one of the cops. So they got the cop with the wiener, and then the 2 cops were in the car. What happened to the other cop?
That's what I'm about to get to. Because he's in the alley. And so he
so hold on. The two cops in the car, Morehouse bursts through the window and decapitates one of them. And then the other one jumps out of the car and ends up shooting the gas can while Morehouse is on top of it. He's like, ah, and then the car explodes, and No, I still don't know what happened to the one cop.
I'm about to tell you. And
Okay.
so that other cop, he just, I don't know, I guess he just drove off and started running or something, but he was running in the alley. And so that's when Morehouse pops up, and that's when he takes, like, he starts crucify, like he crucifies him.
We're still missing somebody.
It
Let's
was
go back. Let's go back. One of them peed on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he told the other cop, oh, I'm stupid. It was only 3 cops and 1 black guy. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was 4 white cops. My bad. I done added another character. I done added a what is it called? A non-playing NPC in the damn
I hate you so much.
Yes, I'm sorry. So but you're wrong. So he decapitates Richmond, and Hauser, who is the other cop, starts running in the alley. That was the one that was in the car with Richmond. That shoots the car. Okay. The car blows up, and then that's why I was so confused. But okay. So he's running through the alley. There's so many junkies out there. It's like so many junkies.
And so what does he do? He basically he takes the needles of the junkies, and he uses telekinesis to
Carrie.
Oh my! That's why I love you. And so he basically, if anybody who's seen Carrie, how she kills her mom at the end is she like basically just launches fucking knives and other sharp weapons at her and basically crucifies her. And that's what this guy does. He just takes the needles of the junkies and he just starts crucifying the police cop on an actual mural of a cross. And so and once he does this, he like, what the fuck? This effect, he like evaporates into a painting. Melts? I was like, now this is Hood of Horrors. This is Carrie.
That's what I said. His mural looked way better than Posey's.
Literally.
So he just kind of melts. He like melts into a mural. Yeah. And there's now a mural of a crucified Hauser cop in the middle of this alley, and he's like screaming in the mural. And Morehouse comes up to Clarence. He's like, why didn't you help when you could? And, Clarence obviously feels guilt-ridden about it, and he basically goes crazy. And we see him in a mental hospital, and everybody else thinks that he's the one that killed the other cops. My question is, how did Clarence ultimately die?
I think that he's just in a mental institution. I think that's his fate.
No, Mr. Sims opened the coffin and Clarence's dead body was in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how did he die?
They didn't explain that.
They didn't, and that's why I'm taking a point off for that, because you should have told me how Clarence died, damn it. But for this story, I actually enjoyed this story. I hate it at the beginning, but I love a good revenge story. So I'm gonna give this one 6.5 out of 10.
Okay, I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
And a 5 because of the trauma. It was just too real. Shit like this really just be happening. Like, I mean, we can say so many names. Like, it's just yeah. And so
we flip
do your wraparound story, because these motherfuckers get on my nerves. I'm sick of Stacy and the dude who died in Boys in the Hood and the dude who's always a comedian in movies. These 3 get on my fucking nerves.
We flip back to Stack, Ball, and Bulldog. And they basically think Mr. Sims is crazy after telling that story. And then they open up another casket of which the contents, they don't show what's in the contents. And Mr. Sims starts to tell them a story about a boy named Walter. And the name of this segment is called Boys Do Get Bruised. And little Michael Jordan, little Mike starts off this episode with a little cute self. What happened to him?
You're going to lose points because you didn't say Ahmad from Soul Food. And so,
Big Mama,
I don't know what happened. I mean, I've seen him now. I know he's alive. I just don't think he acts anymore.
Okay.
Not just fucking Big Mama.
He's such a cute little cutie patootie. But we see Walter in bed, and he is like bundled up with the covers. You can tell he's scared. He's quivering, and we see like a figure approaching from under the door, and then it kind of like cuts the scene, and it's the next day at school, and we find out that Mr. Walter is being bullied, and he just, he don't want to go to recess. All the other kids are having fun, and he just is kind of being a loner.
His teacher. This was traumatic. This was more trauma, because they literally beating him up. It's a group of kids beating him up, and nobody gets in trouble. No, they don't go to the principal's office. They don't get expelled. It's just like, hey, what's wrong with you? Bitch, they were beating me up. What the fuck you mean is wrong with me? That's, bruh. Yeah. I just want to play in the NBA. Like, and so he has a and because the kids beat him up, I'll give them grace because I don't know if they realize, like, I don't know if they caught who gave him the black eye. But what the fuck is the teacher's name? Biscuit.
Richard.
Oh, and Richard. And so Richard talks to him. And so he's just like, what the fuck's going on with you? And he's just like, there's this monster, and the monster hurt me. The monster's the one who gave the black eye. And so he's like, the monster, which I'm not an educator, but I feel like educators would automatically know something's going on at home. Like when a child says, like, I'm like,
well, but not this, that after he sees that Walter has bruises all over his body, but they're pretty old bruises, so it couldn't have happened with that fight today. So that's when he kind of, the gears in his head start cranking, and he's like, okay, I need to see what's going on with this baby. But he tells Walter that he can overcome something that he doesn't like. And we see that Walter draws the monster out on the paper. So Richard tells him, you can overcome things by destroying the image of it. So after Richard, his name is Richard Garvey, another like homage to black people. After he leaves, Walter, you see him crumpling up the paper of a drawing of Tyrone. So he had a drawing of the monster and a drawing of Tyrone, and he crumples it up.
One of the bullies.
And then one of the bullies, and then we hear,
and so basically what and then we see this kid, and we see Tyrone getting rolled off by like a fucking ambulance. And so the teachers are with the exposition there. He's basically like, he fell down the stairs, but he fell down the stairs and he broke both his arms and legs. And so they're just like, what the fuck? And so, Richard is like, did somebody push him? And he's like, no, he just fucking fell. But I've never seen anybody, like, I don't understand how he broke all his arms and legs. And so they're just like,
must have had weak bones.
He needs some milk.
I think it was Mr. Glass.
Oh my God. Underrated movie. And so, and then you see like Walter at the top, and he's just, yeah. And so Walter's at home again, and it's very ominous, because it's like you want to believe it's a monster because you see him in bed again, and you see, like, I don't know, it's like green lights or something, and you think that, oh, the monster really is coming in,
and you hear growling too.
Yeah, and so but it's not. And so next day, he comes to school, and he's even more fucked up. I think he actually visibly has a black eye this time. And so Rich is like, okay, bitch, what the fuck is going on here with this? And so he decides to take it a step further and actually visit Walter's house after school. And so he goes up and he knocks on the door, and
Walter's mother's name is Sissy.
Paula
Jive Parker, Mrs. Proud.
That is Joy from Friday.
She's also the mom in the Proud family.
Because I was like, I'm not taking you seriously. And so,
and she's like, hey, like she was low key flirting with him.
But then she realizes he got some business, and so I feel like she dismissed him. I feel like she dismisses him at first, but then because a bird poos on him, he feels like that's his way in the house. And I was like,
literally,
I was like, get the fuck out of here. So I guess he goes in and she's helping him clean the bird poo off his suit, which we're not even gonna talk about how he dressed so fucking bad with his ill-fitted. This is how I know there was no costume department on this fucking on this movie. And so
he's supposed to look like a real teacher. Why is he supposed to be in a 3-piece, customized suit?
He would at least not have a coat that fit him. And so,
anywho, so shut up. He goes to talk about Walter's bruises, and Sissy claims that Walter is just really clumsy. And we're like, yeah, clumsy to get a black eye. I have hurt myself often. I came down on a shower knob, the faucet knob, on my eye, bursted a blood vessel, but I never even had a black eye. So it's just like, I'm really clumsy, but I've never gotten a black eye from being clumsy. That just doesn't sound like something that happens.
I have no grace. I trip all the time. I fall all the time.
Any black eyes with that?
No, I've never had a black eye. I've never had a black eye. So I don't, and it just, like even the thought of having one just, so
I have to give me a little patch, walk around like I'm Romeo from Immature.
And so,
baby, please don't go. I will never lie again. My friend, you will always be my friend.
Rest in peace to Christopher Stokes. And so
he did.
He needs to be. And so so all the excuses, like I opened a cabinet, I've hit myself with I ain't got no black eye, so that ain't rocking with me. And so and then he tells him about like the monster that he says, and he just got an imagination. And so this is when it pisses me off, because she get angry at him, and Walter, get in here, boy. And she like, what I told you about telling them stories and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's like almost like she was about to whip him. Man, I'm like, bitch, back you motherfucking, you know what the fuck is going on. And so Walter run off. He go to, he sent to his room. And so and so she just misses him, and she just misses the teacher. And she's like, but then
Carl.
And so there's knocking the door. And so she's like, oh, fuck. And so she tells Walter, go hide. That's basically the inner, like, go hide.
She tells him to go to your room.
Go hide. And so she answers, and so who comes through the door? The nicest motherfucker I've ever seen on TV. I was so mad to see him playing this role. I was so mad. Because he's always a nice guy. And then he come in, and he already gave.
Why didn't you get the door?
Red pill.
50-50 around here, baby. 50-50.
Because he talking about, oh, what were you? Why you ain't get the door? I'm like,
why? My favorite one is why women deserve less.
Oh, is that a real podcast?
I think they said it on the Fresh and Fit. Yo, so funny. I saw this post on TikTok. This girl was like, let me tell you the story about Fresh and Fit. You know, the ones that look like Timon and Pumbaa. And I cannot get that image out of my head because they look like Timon and Pumbaa.
They are... It's not even worth insulting them.
Timon and Pumbaa.
The fact that one of them just got like a porn star pregnant, and they always talk about how women don't have value. I just bet it. Yeah.
Hypocrite.
I just like, you're balding. Anyway, so he comes in, like, when you didn't get the door. I'm like, well, I have never, now, out of all the misogynistic
all he had was a briefcase. All he had was a briefcase.
But I've never seen, out of all the misogynistic lore out there, I've never seen a woman just open the door for a man because she knew he was. I've never seen that before. So I was like, what the fuck does he mean open the door? Did he have a key? That just threw me off. But he come in, and she's just like, oh, he just came. Like, he's like, what the fuck you doing here? And he's like, oh, he just came because he was just his teacher, and he was just letting us know some stuff. But
he dropped off some homework, is what he said.
Oh, that's what, dropping off some homework. Get the fuck out of here. And so, he's like, oh, is that all? And so the teacher is like, I'm not backing down. So he's like, actually, now that you mentioned it, like, sir, read the room.
He's right. Like, you could tell how scared she was and how he ran out. He deserved that ass whooping he gets later.
And so
he deserved it.
He's like, actually, I need to talk to you about some shit. So they go, and so, they go into the kitchen. And so that's when the teacher just spills the beans, and he's like, he got a monster. He got bruises on him. We trying to figure out what the fuck going on. So he even shows the dad the drawing that the little boy did. And so he's like, okay. Like, he plays it off like normal abusers do. He's like, okay, I'll take care of it. I'll talk to him. Teacher leaves. This motherfucker go up in this boy room and just immediately go ham. Oh, you like to draw pictures of motherfuckers, huh? And just start, like, he puts him on the wall. He slaps him across the room.
You think I'm a motherfucking joke?
Like, yes, bitch. And like, putting him on the wall, beating him. So the mom comes in, and she tries to, and she's like, stop. So he slaps her down. Like, I mean, she's instantly bleeding. I hate blood in these kind of low budget movies because it's always really red. And so he starts like beating her down. Then he takes her fucking belt off and starts beating her. I was like,
he is like literally whooping her.
I had to look.
Somehow they away.
I had to look and see who the writers were, because I just knew Tyler Perry produced this. Because I was just like,
he wasn't doing anything in 1995.
It was very Tyler Perry-esque. Because like what the fuck? It's abuse.
Somehow they got back downstairs. I'm not sure how. So
maybe they ran. Maybe like the boy ran. I don't know. But like they were very big.
Oh yeah, Walter ran down and Carl ran after him. Then Sissy ran after, and then he's still beating Sissy's ass, beating the shit out of her.
And so the teacher hears the commotion and runs in. And so you think he comes in man to man. So, he tries to, and he starts punching him real good. But for some reason, the abusive dad is just like Superman, because he take him out, and he start beating him down. He's the easiest to take down out of the kid and the mom. And so
knock him down.
The kid and the mom, they trying their best. And so he whipping. So the kid grabs the drawing of the monster. And
so Sissy grabs a frying pan. She's like,
oh,
"You
I forgot about
motherfucker!"
that.
And he grabbed her hand before she could even hit him. So
Oh, I
he's
forgot about the frying
literally.
pan.
So at this point, he has the frying pan. He's about to kill her.
Yeah.
And then his hand is up like this, and he's about to swing down, like, "Didn't I tell you, bitch?" And all of a sudden, his arm just folds all the way backwards, just like, "Blah."
Yeah, and
And
that's
he's
because
like, and everybody's like, "What the fuck?"
the son folded the picture of the drawing, and so he's folding his like limbs in places, and so his leg gets twisted, his arm gets twisted. He like on the floor at this point. He's a puddle.
He said, I ain't done with you motherfuckers yet," or something like that.
This, you know, it reminded me of "This ain't over to the fat professor thing."
Sherman. Oh, what did he say? Your featherweight. Take a bath. Blah blah blah.
Butt. Why did we both know that one?
My favorite part, which is not even the funniest part of that movie, he's like, "I have a date with Miss Purdy, and you have a date with Linoleum." And he's like, "Who?" And he knocks him out.
That's not even the funniest.
I love it. No, my best part is I'm glad I got my knife, and I got my razor. That's my favorite quote in that entire movie.
That should not be. That movie was
me and
not
Amanda.
For kids.
Me and Amanda still say that. If we're somewhere, it's been a while, but I'll be like, "I'm glad I brought my knife." She's like, and I got my razor.
That is not. That movie was so not for kids. With like that comedy, I'm just like,
it was PG-13. That shit should have been rated R.
That's what I'm like, because the stuff they were just, I was like, oh my god, like, this is very lewd. Yes. Even like with the threesome thing, like I was like, oh my god, like
I had 2 titties, now I got 6 titties. So he's basically
that's my favorite part when he's like, the lady has tank ass, and the guy was like, tank ass,
you
my brother, like, sir.
This lady's what is suffering from what we like to call saddlebag syndrome.
Eye control. And so
tank ass.
So Walter crumbles up and he throws it on the floor. And so the mom is just like, she gives a line, but I cannot remember what the fuck she said. It's one of them, you know, hasta la vista babies, but I don't remember what the fuck she said. It was something like, motherfucker, something black. And so she steps on it and it blows him up. And
did we watch the same movie? He does not blow up, y'all. So she steps on it and it basically smushes him and blood squirts everywhere.
That is
that's not blowing up.
I didn't mean like Piper from Charmed. I meant just like blowing up as in like.
I never watched that show. So, but I know what blowing up means. So, the teacher walks over to the stove and he turns the stove on. He tells Walter, "You know what to do." So Walter takes the paper and he puts it on the stove, and basically burns Carl to death. Mm-hmm. And so back at the funeral home, we see Carl burnt and mangled corpse, and everybody's like, "The fuck?" And the gangster slammed the casket closed, and a doll falls off the shelf. So for the next story, Mr. Sims shows him the doll, saying that he found it at a home in the South, and basically it's not an ordinary doll; it's a vessel for a lost soul. So for boys do get bruised, 7 out of 10. I love a good people getting their comeuppance.
It was I'll give all my critiques later, because these are very short compared to the stories that we've watched before. I feel like these are way shorter. And there's just not, because I don't know, but I mean, I guess because it's an anthology, you don't get all the context. Because I'm just like, I would have loved.
But I feel like for both of those stories, we didn't need that.
I would have loved at least him do one more kid, just so we know that he knows that he has the ability to draw something and to hurt him. Because I feel like that one instance wasn't like, that would have probably been like a coincidence to me.
But it wasn't one, because he got Tyrone too.
That's what I'm saying. Tyrone was the first one, and then his dad, it went straight to his dad. So there was no, like, I don't know. I feel like
anybody else bother him.
I feel like Carrie just had multiple instances where she was like, wait, is this coincidence or is this me? And so moving on along. Yeah.
I don't know. So the third segment is called KKK Comeuppance.
To Mississippi. So Duke.
So I got the first line, and this is where I was like, why is this the same almost 30 years ago? There is a broadcast or like a campaign video going on for Duke Metger, and you hear the voice saying, "You can give it any name you want. The fact is, affirmative action or reparations all mean one thing. Another qualified individual won't get a job or education simply because he's not the right color. Isn't it about time? And I was like, if this ain't Donald Trump's fucking slogan, I ain't never heard one
It
before
is
in my damn
crazy
life.
how I was
Bruh.
like, wait a minute, when did this come out? Because I was
1995.
like, because and just I just gotta say it. Just
This
I
is the
know
true story about Donald Trump, except for the dolls haven't happened yet. They're happening later
just,
this year or something.
Just for like, if anybody is not aware, the people who benefit from affirmative action more than anybody is white women.
Are women.
White women.
White women, yes.
So yeah, and DEI does not mean, oh, you just get the job because you're black. It just means we're going to widen our scope of candidates. So whatever candidates qualified, we're also going to look at the qualified candidates who happen to not be white. That's it. That's all it is.
Right.
Literally all it is.
The only way to solve that is to have them be behind a screen where you can't see their faces and a voice modulator. Like, yeah. And then you're just
they'll say, oh, they'll say he sounded black. So, so yeah. So I'm just like, that's crazy. That's literally crazy because these are the same arguments being used. Like, literally.
It is nuts. I just couldn't believe it. Like, I've seen the movie before, but like when I watch it before, it was just kind of, I wasn't really paying attention like I was this time. And I was like, oh my God. So we meet Duke Metger, and he's a racist ass. He's a former member of the KKK, and he's running for governor. The home that he's holding his campaign is a former plantation home. And basically he's filming another campaign video with his token blackie named Rhodey. What the fuck was Rhodey about?
I'm so sick of seeing.
So we have them there, and then we scoot out to outside in front where there's a bunch of reporters, and we have like the town nut Eli running up. He's like, hey, he needs to get out of that house. Something's gonna happen to him. The doll's gonna get him. They're gonna get him. And he's just going on and on about that. And the news reporters are like, what? Dolls who? And it's just like a little snippet. We put him there. So we go back into the house, and Duke is basically talking to Rhodey about the big myth of the tortured slaves. I'm sorry, there is a big portrait. And there is a woman, a human-looking woman, sitting on a rocking chair, and there are a bunch of dolls around her, a bunch of black dolls. And he's telling Rhodey the story about the tortured slaves. So basically, there was a slave owner, and following the Civil War, all of the slaves were supposed to be freed. The owner went crazy as the slaves tried to leave, and he, had a murderous rage and just massacred all of them. He killed all of his people. And then Mrs. Cobbs, who is the lady in the photo, is a witch that transferred the slaves' souls into the small dolls that she created. And he calls them Negro dolls. He coon, all this shit. Yeah. Anything you could think of, he says it in here. And so, according to legend, the dolls are supposedly still in the house. So that's the big ghost story, and that's what Eli was talking about before.
The sad part is, that story is probably like literally true. Like
right.
Maybe not the
like in New Orleans,
but like the fact that they freed slaves and the slave owner just killed, like that. I can like. If somebody was like,
that happened.
That's I'm just like, it's just like, it sounds just
because they felt like, we're giving up our property. People are your property. That's how they felt. Yeah, so definitely. So after that, we see Duke and Rhodey working on Duke's media skills, and he's fucking terrible.
Like no media training at fucking all.
It's like he asked him a question like, how do you feel living in this house with all of its history? And he's like, well, I didn't do it. How am I gonna get in trouble for something my family did? It wasn't me. That's basically how he feels about the whole thing.
That's what he said.
Like, and Rhodey's like, we gotta do a little better. Here, hold my camera. So Duke takes the camera, and he's holding the camera, and Rhodey's like, hey, we all make mistakes. You can't be mad at me for some of the things my family did in the past. Hey, we all have done something bad in our lives. I'm like, why is he talking like this? It was like,
and then he said something that was racist as fuck. But what it was like something
said,
like.
So Duke said, so what about the ghosts? Are you scared of the ghosts? He said, well, the only spooks I'm scared of are the ones with guns.
And I was like, did he really fucking?
And Duke is like, oh, that's great. I'm gonna use that. And he's like, no, the fuck you won't if you want to win, you dumbass.
I was like, and so then he's like, oh, well, let's get a shot by this. And he's dead as a doornail. All of a sudden he trips and he falls down the stairs. Again, these falls with these little bitty staircases. And like literally blood, bruised, dead. I was like, this is not Madeline
yeah.
Ashton's staircase. They need to
Rhodey
stop doing that.
basically Rhodey basically falls and breaks his neck, and Duke is like, the fuck just happened? So he's just standing there with the camera as the guy fell down the stairs. So we skip to the next scene at the funeral, and we see Eli there again. Mm-hmm. He's like, you better get out of this house. You better get out of this house, because what happened to him is going to happen to you. This is your last chance to get out of this house. And Duke is just like, and the reporters ask him, you know, what about the ghosts in the house? He's like, the only spooks I'm afraid of are you spooky reporters. Yeah. And he like, cause he's like, are you gonna really fucking say that? Are you gonna talk about the KKK at this time? Like, it was a mess. So Duke is leaving and he gets into a limo. Finally, a limo for you. Are you happy?
I actually fucking am. I will not have you. No, we're not gonna shame me. That is how a limo's supposed to look. Talking about getting in the fucking car and you in a two-door bitch. Anyway.
so get out of here. That was a limo.
So he sees one of the dolls in the limo and he's like, how the fuck did this get in here? And they're like, wait, who? And he's like, he throws the doll out the window and he just is on the ground. And so that's the first instance where we see the doll. Then he's back at his house and he's going through the footage. And in the footage, he's like, you know, he stops when Rhodey falls and he looks and he sees that one of the dolls was like right there when he fell. And so he's like, what the hell?
The same doll that he threw out the window.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's the token one, because I was like, why is this?
Yeah. Right. So that was the one. That's like the main guy. So in the beginning of the short, we saw Mrs. Cobbs in the wheelchair. I'm sorry. We saw Mrs. Cobbs in the rocking chair, and she's holding that doll. So as he sees that happen in the on the video, he gets up and he runs back into his office, and we see Mrs. Cobbs still in the chair, but where that doll is now just a white slate. There's nothing there. There's no drawing of a doll. It's just completely white. It still has like the outline of a doll, but there's no doll there. And this is the best part right here. You hear we have doll POV. Oh my god, I got a massage yesterday, and I swear this guy, I don't know how many packs of cigarettes he's smoking a day, but I couldn't even relax. He's like,
did you get a deep tissue?
Man, he told me up. I was hurting after.
Oh, because I was like, because them deep tissue ones, I know, because they be sweaty after, like, that hurts them. So I'm like,
no, he wasn't sweaty. He just could smoke too much because he wasn't even a big guy. I was like, what the hell is going on? So anyway, so we see the doll running back to the house, and it's like, clearly they're doing this correctly because it took that doll hours to get back. Because the funeral was during the daytime.
I'm telling you, it reminded me of the beginning of Seed of Chucky.
Oh yeah, you're pissing your pants. You're pissing your pants.
Like, first of all, you're a doll. Why are you breathing? And so, thank you. And so, baby, he get back up in it. This reminded but
there's a knock at the door. Duke goes to open the door. He thinks it's, I guess, one of his partners. He's like, "Hey, I was waiting on you," and we see nothing there.
Sarah, I cannot believe you're early.
Then all of a sudden you hear, and baby, he's like, what the fuck was that? He turns around and we see that doll. I'm gonna call the doll. Let's give the doll a name.
Seamus. Oh god, no, that's Irish.
Willie. We see the doll Willie sitting on the stairs, smiling up at him, and Duke is like, the fuck? So he picks up a vase and he throws it at him. The vase breaks on the stairs, and Willie is gone. So that was his first chance to get the fuck out of there. Okay? He's gonna have 3 chances. So that was number 1. He should have been going out the front door instead of going back into his office. So like the doll is really small, like a Barbie. So it's pint size. So Duke is looking for it. It's like not Chucky's not the biggest doll, but he'd be way easier to find than one of these little Barbie dolls. So he goes looking for the doll, and he grabs the closest weapon he could find, which is the American flag on a pole.
The jokes write themselves. I can't
Oh my god! And he's like, "You black bitch!" And he starts beating up the painting with Mrs. Cobbs, and then the painting actually starts to bleed. He's like, "What the hell? What the hell?" Not too much on Corbin Burnson though, because I love him. So then like basically the shit hits the fan. He
About the
turns
white
around.
actor?
Yeah, I love him.
Oh,
Not
okay.
in this.
No, but I didn't know his name. But okay,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's
okay.
his name. So the shit hits the fan. He turns away from the painting, and there is a chandelier, and the doll is on the chandelier, and then it, ha, Geronimo, and jumps and starts biting his neck, and I was like, trilogy of terror.
Literally, I'm mad because even the sound the doll was making, that
yeah, it wasn't as strong as the
wasn't.
Zuni fetish dog. The Zuni fetish, this doll was just like,
woodchucks. I hate you so much.
I said it last time, the same thing. So when I was a kid, this scared the shit out of me. So this came out when I was 12. Oh my god. So Duke basically ends up beating the shit out of the doll. He gets the upper hand and he takes the doll outside. This was the second time.
Yes, and he puts him on, what do you call that thing? Time. A dartboard? A dartboard? Yeah, and so he puts on a dartboard and he takes his gun and he shoots him in the ball. I'm gonna shoot your nigger ass in the balls. That's what he says. And so I don't know if he shot him in the balls.
He shot half of his head off.
Okay.
And then he shot like the bottom portion of his body.
Okay. And then he goes back inside.
That was number 2. People, listen, that was number 2. Okay. He goes back into the house and he runs back into the room where the painting is, and guess what, bitch? More dolls are missing. Not all of them, but more dolls are missing. Okay, actually, he had 4 chances. So when he saw that those dolls were leaving, that was I'm sorry, 3 chances. That was his second chance. When he saw that all the dolls were gone, because obviously you killed this one, but then there's going to be more you got to fight. It's time to fucking go. It is time to go. So we see him walking around the house still with the American flag, and we see the same doll from before back in the hallway. His face somehow is like magically repaired itself. I mean, he doesn't look like he looked originally, but he, you know, he's scary ass fucking doll. And Duke runs his dumb ass back into his office, and he looks at the painting, bitch.
No, all the dolls are white. Literally.
Only thing still in the painting is Miss Cobbs in the rocking chair.
Yes. And so, baby, they come out of the woodworks. Like, I mean, all kinds of dolls and dresses, male.
That was the third time. When he got in the room and all of them were missing, that was the third time. He had time. There was a window in there. He could have jumped out that bitch. And they come and they, but wait, what kills me is like in the painting, there were maybe like 25 dolls, but like when we pan out to see everything, it was like 125 dolls. There was so many dolls there, but they were all real, and they run up and they attack him, and they're
biting him. I don't know
if, they bite him to death.
Yeah. And in the midst of them biting him, Mrs. Cobbs actually does come out of the painting, and she just like is rocking and watching, and it was very, that gave me a little bit of satisfaction. I was like,
oh yeah. But wait, I almost forgot. Before the dolls ran to go bite him, he covers himself in the American flag, and then they're like, "Fuck your flag, fuck your freedom, bitch!" And they eat him up, eat him up. And so after that, the drug dealers were back at the wraparound. So the drug dealers are getting pissed.
Rate it.
I do it. Okay. Even before I did it, after I did the wraparound. But anyway, so again, I actually really enjoy this one. 8 out of 10.
8.
Yeah, it was good. Get the KKK comeuppance. Yes. We're into it. And Corbin Burnson, I love. So back to the wraparound. The drug dealers are pissed. They're like, man, you old bastard. We don't want to hear about these fucking stupid ass stories anymore. Give us the shit. And so they're like tired of hearing the stories. And Ball, one of the guys, he notices another corpse in the room and tells the others to come and look at it. So Mr. Sims is like, do you guys know this man? And simultaneously, one's like, hell no. And the other one's like, yeah, we know him. And it's like, oh, you know him. And he's like, no, it's just some motherfucker we seen around the hood. You know, we don't really know him. So Mr. Sims proceeds to explain the final moments of the man known as Crazy K. And this segment is called Hardcore Covert.
This was my least favorite.
Really?
So we get, what the fuck is his name? Jerome? We get Jerome,
aka Crazy K. So I guess it's Crazy Killer because
oh yeah. And so he driving. I don't understand. Like,
Hakeem, what you doing here?
Literally, like he driving, sees a guy, shoots him. Like
He said, that's Lil Zeke.
And I was just
Lil
like,
Deke, Lil Deke. So I guess Lil Deke was talking shit because he kind of like corners Lil Deke at his house and he gets out. He's like, "Oh, you talking that shit, motherfucker? You want to talk that shit again to my face?" Didn't get the guy a chance to say anything for you. Pap, 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 pap.
Right. And so I'm guessing he belongs to another gang because the gang member, it's like they're very pissed that he just shot him. So they go and they tear this motherfucker up, like tear him up. But and when they're about to kill him, the police show up. And so it's like this big ass, weird ass shootout, and the police like they go and they pop each of the individuals who shot him. But he's still on the ground and he's like bleeding, coughing up blood. Ugh, I hate when blood is red like this. And he's just like saved by the motherfucking cops. And so
Jerome.
I want to say they say it was 6 months later, but
it was
he's
4 years later.
Damn. So he's in prison. He's in prison, doing his push-ups like he's in damn it starts with a W and I cannot think of it. You know
The Wire? West Wing.
It's a movie. You know that movie with yeah, because he it's with not Jack Nicholson, Robert De Niro, when they put him away. You know that movie, then it's like and then he gets out and he goes and kills the judge and all the people who put him away. I forgot what the fuck it's called. But
Raging Bull.
You didn't even try. It starts with a W, but I forgot what it's called. But yeah,
Wild Horses.
So go ahead. Drag
me away.
Damn it, I don't have my phone right now. But it looked like that. But yeah, he's up in there doing push-ups and shit. And so he gets a visitor and they're like, hey, Jerome. It's like this wannabe fucking, I can't think of her name all of a sudden either.
So Dr. Cushing.
Amanda Waller. There you go. So Amanda Waller walks up and she's like, hey, you want to join my Suicide Squad? That's the energy it gave. And so she's like, hey, you want to get out of here? I got an opportunity for you, blah, blah. And he's a fucking asshole. Like,
go. So they want to transfer him to a facility for an experimental trial, and he'll be released upon completion. So he won't have to do his life sentence if he can pass. So he's like, hell yeah, I'll go fucking do it.
He's an asshole though. And so they take him and they sit him next to this guy. They put him in a fucking cage next to this fucking racist dude.
White supremacist.
Yeah, like I was like, what the fuck is going on? And he's basically like, hey, you want to join me? Because what he's saying is you want to join me because I kill black people, you kill black people. You probably kill more black people than me, honestly. And so, he like, what the fuck? And so he punches him. He like,
I was like, how did he aim perfectly? It's because
through the bars.
If I would have threw back, I would have bust my damn hand open.
Right, like I'm like through the bars, and then it's an instant blood. I was just like, get the fuck out of here.
Knock the shit out of him.
And so they come and get him, and he's like, you wrong for setting me next to that white supremacist dude. And
the white supremacist, he tells them that he's grown fond of him, and he's like, there will be a few black people in my coalition, and they will be spared as long as you think like him. But it's like, why would you trust that? If I kill all the black people in the world and I'm the only black person left and everybody else is white, why would I think they would not come after me next?
There's so many
Dr.
things that are happening right now.
Dr. Cushing says that she purposely put him there basically to meet someone just like him. You're killing this kind of people. And so she tells him again, the government paid for the experiment, and if you don't comply, you'll be locked in solitary for the rest of your life. 23-1, baby. 23-1.
So they put this motherfucker in a thong. They put I don't understand this. Like a Speedo, and he's clearly not fitting the speed. Like it was just very obvious.
Was it a lot of balls or was it dick? Was it balls or dick?
I can't tell. Maybe it was
big.
It was just like because the Speedo was hanging, and I was like, I know they're not just doing this. Is this man just really? I'm like, this is so.
You know what they call them, banana hammocks? That was a banana hammock.
Yes, I was like, this is so. I just can't. I was like, the costume. There were no costume designers because I was like, oh my god. There are ways to not have that happen, and so it's like he's basically in this like laboratory at this point, and they like they strap him up. They put like some things on his nipples, and they like it's basically like he's about to be Frankenstein. And so they put him on the table, and he's a fucking asshole throughout this. Like he's just cussing everybody out and like motherfuckers and bitch, oh god.
Like you told her yes that you would do this. But I
I
guess
wasn't.
once they started sticking them tubes down his nose, he was like, "Fuck y'all." I
Right.
would probably have cussed them out too.
So she lets him know he's about to see a bunch of images. And that's what we see. And it's like, again, trauma. It's trauma porn, basically. He just sees a bunch of black dead bodies, a bunch of black people getting shot, killed.
Lynched.
They're like all kinds of things. Little kids being like, it's just very like stuff you could literally turn on the news and see.
Yeah.
And
And
so
she says, "Does that make you angry, Jerome? You're doing the same thing, killing people without remorse or second thought." And it is true. That's what he's doing in his gang, even though he sees it as something totally different. He's literally doing the same thing to his own people.
And so then he's like, he wakes up in a room, and it's like this like a dark hallway.
So after he's done with that little the images, she tells him that we're going to put you in a sensory deprivation chamber. And she puts him in there, so there's going to be no noise, and we have flashing lights. So if you have epilepsy, please don't watch this part. So there are flashing lights, and he's basically confronted by the souls of the people that he killed before. Some people even being his friends. Like the first person that comes up is like, "Why'd you do this, man? Why'd you do this?" And he was like, "You kept coming up short. I couldn't let you fucking play with me like that." So basically, this guy wasn't making the money he should have made throughout the drug deals, so he killed him. There's some other guys. There's a little girl. She was like, "What about me? I didn't do anything." A bullet came in through the window when I was sitting on my bed. And then this line.
A bullet ain't got no.
That's where I got it from. He's like, "A bullet ain't got no name."
So mad. I was like, this motherfucker.
But that's just it. He cannot be reformed. He's just too hard and criminal. But I like to say about this, like, it was only one day. Did you really expect this to work in one fucking day?
One treatment, really.
Right. This should go on for years before we can say that it actually worked. So I wasn't on his side, but I can see how it didn't work.
Yeah, because like, and then he was like, and so somehow I don't understand how, but he gets out of his restraints. Maybe I missed that part.
No, so in the sensory deprivation chamber, he doesn't have any restraints.
Oh, okay. So there's
he's down there. Yeah.
There's an assistant, very very pretty lady. And he grabs her by, and he's like, you let me out of here. I'm gonna snap this bitch neck. And she's like, dude,
there's time, Jerome. There's still time.
This is your last chance, which I agree with what you're saying. He needs more time. And because of that, I'm not restraining it. Like, he's a killer. At the end of the day, we got to be realistic. He's a killer. So I'm not about to put my assistant next. Like, this was just ridiculous. And so
he should have been restrained in there, but he wasn't. But we ultimately she's like, "You can change, Jerome." He's like, "I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck." And so then he's transported back to lying on the ground when the gang member shot him and the cops were there. And so he's just like, "I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck." And
I don't give a fuck. And then the guys said, "We'll give a fuck neither." Blah, 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 blah.
Literally. And so
they eat him ass up and leave him dead in the street. All right, so that is the end of Hardcore Convert. I'll actually rate this one a 6.5 out of 10. And the reason being is because this one has a lot to do with the wraparound, so I can't just solely give this one like a higher number. So I'll just say 6.5.
I'll give it a 4. He was just so unlikable. Like, it just,
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck. Like, people like that, them be the people I'd be like, all right, just gonna let what happen needs to happen. But yeah, I couldn't take him. He pissed me off.
All right, so here is the Welcome to My Mortuary epilogue. So we find out that Stackball and Bulldog are actually the ones that killed Crazy K. And they're pissed because Sims knows their secret and they still haven't given him the fucking drugs. So he's like, "You wasted our motherfucking time." So they pull their guns out. They're like, "You need to give us the shit and we're not playing." So Sims is like, "Okay, it's in the room here and there's 3 coffins in the room." He's like, "The drugs are in the coffins." And the guys are like, "Yeah, we about to get rich." And they all
get paid.
They all open up the coffins, and it is actually them dead in the coffin. So they're seeing themselves dead. The one guy's like, "What we gonna do, Bulldog? What we gonna do?" And Bulldog's like, I don't know. And Mr. Sims basically tells them that after they murdered Crazy K, some of Crazy K's folks came in and they retitled the retaliation.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why that the hood beef is just never ending, because it's always back and forth. Even though there's not supposed to be any snitches, snitches only count in certain situations. You know, it's like the hood code. I don't know what it is because I'm not a part of it, or the gang code. I'm sorry, not the hood code, the gang code. So Sims is like, now y'all are dead. Y'all are in my funeral home. So Bulldog says, how the fuck can we be dead? We're all alive in your funeral homes. And this is my favorite part. I've been practicing.
I hate her.
This ain't no funeral home. It ain't the Terror Dome. Neither. Welcome to hell, motherfuckers.
What a reveal. As somebody watched the first time, I was like, oh, wow. Well, this makes sense.
And then you hear, and he basically transforms himself into Satan, and he takes them to hell.
That was cool. Like, that was cool.
He was sweating so bad. Ain't the Terror Dome neither. I love that part. I love it. So that'll do it for Tales from the Hood. I love this movie. 9 out of 10 for me. I actually really enjoy it. I hate that everything is still prevalent in this day and age. And of course, like you said, I hate the blood, but I think that the acting was good. The storylines had a meaning to them, and it's like, how do we fix this? Like, it's almost been 30 years and this shit is still going on. Can it be fixed? It just really like opens your eyes to things, because we were kids when this came out. So we didn't know what was going on in the world, and now we're adults, and the fact that it's still happening, it's like the message was there 30 years ago, but people still aren't getting with the times. And I really enjoy this movie.
I'll give it a 7. For a first time watcher, it did. It was traumatic, trauma, like a trigger warning, but it was pretty good. I like that. I was like, and this motherfucker was scary. Like, from the get go, I was like, I would have left. The minute they walking in, I would have left. I'm not doing that. I'm not talking to him.
Welcome to hell. I couldn't do the tongue, motherfucker. So basically, when he says motherfucker, a snake tongue comes out of the gap in his teeth, and like that. Yes, so
just disrespectful.
So there is a sequel. There's a part 2 and a part 3. Part 2 is.
Oh,
part
really?
3 is. There are some parts on part 2 that I think are fucking hilarious, but there's just, I don't know. It's by the same writer and director, but it's like, he lost his touch. He lost the Midas touch. I don't know what happened, but he lost it. Yeah. Oh God, especially the last episode of that one. It's basically a telling of Emmett Till's story. It's not good. I was upset watching that. I was really, really upset. But my favorite one on that one is the second story with the gangsters and the psychic.
Oh God. So good. Not another one. And so
call me now for your free psychic reading. All right, so that will do it for Tales from the Hood. Be sure to join us next time while we review the terrible
hell no, correct it. The phenomenal,
the crunchy Scream 3.
The phenomenal, the best of the franchise. I will fight any Scream fans over it. Scream 3.
So yeah, be sure to tune in with us next time, and we will see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Where did you hide it, Dan?